All right, welcome everyone to today's Continuous Integration PM UX Research Planning session. First item on today's agenda, what UX research issues are in progress now? So I listed the ones that, that we had called out at our last UX meeting. So the Jenkins wrapper solution validation, we had said last time Vitika would be the DRI. Any updates on that, Vitika?
I thought I was the DRI for this DAG solution validation.
The DAG?
I'm not involved with Jenkins wrapper yet.
Okay, let me see where I got that from last meeting.
Okay.
Maybe I wrote that wrong. Oops.
The issue just has you assigned, Tal, and then it looks like Dimitri opened it. So.
Okay, and yeah, and I was going to run with that on the solution validation, but I think we had the last time we talked, we said, well, normally PM does the problem validation, and we want PM to help, but solution validation would belong with the designer. So I'll work with you on it, Vitika, but when you look at the meeting agenda notes from June 10th and you go to item, do you know what? If you scroll kind of down there, I'll highlight where I'm looking so that we can all see. It's like, it's indented quite a way, like agenda item 1, but everything else is indented in.
Okay.
And if you scroll down to above B, midway, we had selected Vitika for the DI on that with support from Dimitri. So, but I didn't expect that there'd be any progress yet on that. I just wanted to make sure that something hasn't happened. So that's good. So for the B item, Jenkins migration to GitLab CI/CD problem validation, I actually, let me make my note here, no progress yet. I was busy last week getting us squared away with the new milestone. So no progress updates. Okay. Then there's the third one, feedback for beta version of the DAG. I don't know that we decided who the DRI for this. I know Vitika has been updating that that issue. Do you want to be the DRI for that, Vitika? Because it's,
I'm fine. Yeah, I could take this up.
Okay. And I think that makes sense because we are not only collecting feedback on the beta, I see it as a problem validation by another name. Does that sound right, Lori? We're kind of validating our MVC.
I think it's solution validation.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's not really problem validation.
Oh, did I say problem? I meant solution. I'm sorry.
Dimitri and I went through that. So yes, you're right. Solution validation for sure. Vitika and I have talked about it. I think she's got a solid approach. She's already started. So it makes sense to keep her as the DRI for it because she's already started. And so that, taking that into account, we'll have to balance that piece of her workload with the Jenkins wrapper solution piece of her workload as well. So it sounds like the Jenkins wrapper, we just need to get started on writing a discussion guide and figuring out all that stuff and figuring out a screener at the same time as she manages the comments and starts to do some data analysis on the comments and the issue for the DAG. Plus all her other work.
Yeah. And so Vitika, one thing that when we kind of talk about all these things that you're the DRI on, there's no expectation that you make progress on all of these all at once. We just want to make sure we have someone as the DRI, and then between myself and Dimitri and Lori to some extent, we're here to support you on that. And so you and I, Vitika, can talk about little incremental progress we can make on any of these at our weekly one-on-one, which got flipped to tomorrow, which we normally would have on Tuesday. Does that sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. So that first agenda item was just to get a status update on any progress. Agenda item 2, and these are, by the way, questions that are just off of the template, and that's why it doesn't really have a name of a person that is driving these questions. But for 2, what are the upcoming problem validation issues? I don't think Nadia's joined, so I'll read hers. She has the first one. Nadia is saying, do we want to plan the work around come up with ubiquitous language for pipeline to pipeline relationship? This is from the previous session that we didn't get to. I do want to, so yes, we want to do this, and it is related to the parent-child pipeline. It came up, if you look at the issue, I think Fabio created it, and it came up when we realized we need to stop and involve our designer and our tech writer to really come up with something that is our standard on the naming convention and how we refer to things, because there's he outlined beautifully the problem that we're trying to solve for in the description of that issue. So what I'd like to do, I just noticed this issue is not linked to the EPIC for parent-child pipeline. What I'd like to do, Vitika, is look at this as part of the work we'll be doing together to organize, stack rank the issues within the parent-child pipeline EPIC. I'm right now going to add this issue to the parent-child pipeline EPIC, and this being one of the priorities that we want to tackle this particular issue. So let me add, so if you refresh that issue, it should show that it's under EPIC for parent-child pipeline. I'll park it there for now. I think originally I didn't put it into the parent-child pipeline because it's broader than just parent-child pipeline, because it also includes the multi-project or cross-project pipeline work. But I think if we let it, I'm afraid that if we let it hang out there without an EPIC, we'll forget to account for it when we review the EPIC on parent-child pipeline. So I'll park it there for now. And then we can move it out to somewhere else if we decide later. Does that sound fair, Vitika?
Yeah.
As well. Okay. All right. Any other comments on that? Lori, do you want to mention the note verbalize the note you have there?
Oh, sure. I just put a quick note in terms of scheduling anything really when it comes to research, it's always best to figure out when you need the results by, and then work back to try to plan it. So if we're not quite sure when we would consume the results, then we may not be ready to talk about that. But to your point, Tal, just to make sure we don't lose this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for that. And it drives when, since it drives when we might target even needing it to allow time in between for the research. Okay. The second note I have there for upcoming problem validation, I think I have the next two actually. My first one is, so based on Marcel's question in yesterday's meeting, that was the PMUX agenda. I referred back to it in case you want to scroll to that item. I do want to consider a future research project to get insights into the user's reaction to new warnings and deprecation notices that we're going to add to the error messaging that is in both CI linter and also I think pipeline failure messages are going to use the same framework and return the same warnings, I believe. I haven't looked at that issue in a while. So I listed out the questions that Marcel had mentioned at yesterday's meeting under questions to consider. And thanks, Lori, for adding your thoughts there. Let me just go through, before we even go there and talk through some of those questions so that we all are understanding what we're trying to get out of it. And it's a great start. I'm glad Marcel put those questions in because it's going to drive what we put in our UX research issue in prep for the research. Let's talk first about timing on this. I know that we are targeting to put these changes as part of 13.2 release before we even have this research on what the user's reaction would be. So we basically are going to collect the reaction once this MVC is in production. What is, and I need your ideas, everyone, at this session. What is a reasonable time to actually try to run this research, like after a month with the feature already out there, or immediately as soon as possible after it's out there? And keep in mind, we may not even have the bandwidth between folks on the team that would run the research, like me, Vitika, with a little help from Lori to even do it right away. But what would be the ideal?
I think it all depends on how much they're seeing this. So it depends on how many warnings someone gets, how many errors they get, right? Because it's that new verbalization of these things. So if they're not creating any errors or warnings, they're useless to us. They wouldn't be able to give us any feedback. So I don't know if we have a mechanism, at least even maybe on the .com side, to be able to know if enough people are seeing warnings or seeing error messages, so we can say there's a threshold here. When at least 75% of people are getting this, then we can start to ask people about it. I am not sure if we can get that metric, but that's what would be wonderful if we could. Otherwise, it's kind of a crapshoot of, have you seen this before? The other way we could do it is to create some mock-ups that show the warning and the error messages, and then put them into a, I forget what the technical term of it is, but you just show them a picture in the survey and then you ask some questions about the picture. So we could do it that way as well. And so that would mean they wouldn't have to have experienced the interaction in the interface. We're simply just getting some feedback about how we've designed the messaging there. Like we can give them a little scenario and say, okay, well, if you saw this, what would you think? Or whatever the questions would be. So we can do it that way as well. And we could send that out to our first look panel as a quick thing to get feedback on.
So on the simulated approach, where we show them the warnings and get their reaction, capture their reaction, could we achieve that through a survey, or is it better to get that live?
No, that's what we would do. We'd use Qualtrics, and it's just a different, that's why I said I forgot the name of it, but it's like a different option in Qualtrics where you just show a picture in the survey, then you have a couple questions, and then you can go to like another page and show another picture, some other questions. So it's very asynchronously done. You wouldn't have to sit with anybody. And the other idea is, if we have other research that we want to conduct, to also include this in that in-person remote research, to say, hey, I've got a couple more things I want to get your feedback on, pull these things up and talk to them about it. So that's also another option.
Okay. Oops. Can you later add your thought on the other option?
Yep,
I didn't type fast enough.
Yep.
By the way, I'm sorry I keep leaving the E off of your name. I
know
it's with an E. I know it's with an E. I'm typing too fast. I saw you go back and add the E's. Okay. So I don't know how we would collect the metrics. It may be that we try this simulation of sharing the mock-up of the warning and then collecting the feedback async. In that case, I think the questions that Marcel suggested that we ask, let's see which ones I could achieve through the async survey, or which ones we would need to get to through a live interview. So questions to consider: number one, what users do when they see a warning versus an error, for example, in the CI linter tool response. Lori, do you want to?
So I had some questions around this. So I wasn't sure if, so that kind of jumped over, do they even see the difference? Do they even know that there's a difference? I don't know what anything looks like, Marcel, so you have to forgive me. But if it's pretty clear, then that's not a problem.
I think it's going to say like error or warning.
Okay.
Oh, I think if we can pause on that, Vitika, I think I saw that you had some proposed design.
Yeah, I'm pasting it here.
Can you, yeah, or you can either paste it, or are you pasting a link to?
I'll also add the link.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think so to answer your question, Lori, what Vitika had proposed on how it would look is it distinguished between errors and warnings.
Okay. And then my other question is, do they understand the difference between what an error is and what a warning is? I would assume that they would, but again, where are we at in our assumptions with this test? The other piece was, do we have an hypothesis around this? I suspect they might react differently when they see an error versus a warning. But it also might depend on what they're trying to accomplish. So if it's in what the importance of the warning or error and the impact on what they're trying to do is. If it's a simple warning that has nothing to do with what they're trying to do, or it won't stop them from completing the task, they might just blow past it. And if it's an error that will not allow them to go forward, then you have to stop your work and you have to go and resolve that error. So asking the questions what they do when they see it, I think it's going to be very wide in answers, because it's going to be very dependent on what they're trying to accomplish when they get that messaging, either way, warning or error. So this would be very difficult to ask in a survey, because unless you are very, very specific with the scenario that you set up for them. You are trying to set this pipeline, you are trying to do this task, you click the button, and then this is what you see, what happens. That's totally acceptable. We just really need to figure out which tasks or scenarios that we want to present to them to get their feedback, because this is seen throughout the whole UI, right? And it just vary. I think the responses are going to vary. Their actions that they're going to take will vary depending on the circumstances that they see the messaging in.
So the suggestion for this one is to try to well,
so we can show it, we can ask that question, but what we're going to need to do is be specific around the circumstances that we're asking their feedback about these two things from. So I might write up a whole list of tasks or a list of scenarios where these messages could be presented, and then go look through that list and go, what are the ones that I'm not really sure what they might do? And pull those and present the warning and the error within those scenarios.
Oh, but you mean, can we achieve that in an async survey, or it's better in a live interview?
It would be ideal in a live interview. If you cannot do it in a live interview, it would be a long form question that they'd have to type out their answer. That's why it would be not ideal. People hate to type.
But would there be any benefit to me kind of brainstorming some possible situations of where this error might occur and the type of user that might, or not error, but warning? So just to be clear, I think the errors are clear to people because like the pipeline doesn't run. It just literally says, nope, pipeline doesn't run. It's bad. But you're now there's going to be additional warnings where the pipeline will run. And so I'm wondering, how are people going to interact with that, because it's a new dynamic where the pipeline does run, but there's also a warning. And so that's why it's just kind of unclear to me how people will deal with that. If you're a pipeline engineer, you might take it quite differently from just another developer who gets that warning and is like, have I done something wrong? So I can kind of come up with like a grid of possibilities and people that might be a way to think about it, because I am a little bit worried about the UX on this one. Clearly, since I'm here.
Yeah.
That's good context, Marcel. Yeah, I agree. I think a grid would be great, because now you're telling me we've got different segments maybe of people, which is good to know, because that'll determine how many people we need to talk to ultimately. And then if it's something that could be subjective on what they're seeing and how they're experiencing it, let's think through that, because that might mean we have to do this synchronously with people to have conversations about it.
Okay. When we create the UX issue for this, it's not created yet, Marcel, we'll probably have you contribute to that if we're brainstorming scenarios.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah. Let me make a note of that. Okay. The second question is very similar, I think, to what we would be discussing in the first one, which is, do they view it similar to an error that needs to be fixed immediately?
Yeah, let me just clarify this, just to be clear. That, yeah, this was just in relation to the first, and I was just kind of pinging people's, hoping for experience with kind of maybe someone had done some research on warnings versus errors, and so I was mainly asking, like, have you heard of any, or do you have any experience with research on errors that block you from what you're doing versus warnings that alert you but don't stop you from what you were doing? So I was more in a general sense looking for information on that.
Well, I can't point to a study, but I can tell you that some people will blow past warnings. They won't even read them. And if the error makes you stop and not go forward, then they'll have to address it. And they do. They may grouse and be angry about having to stop their work to fix it. But if the system won't let them go, they will stop to fix it because they have to achieve that task, right? I suspect more new users will stop and read all the warnings, where your seasoned users will blow past them because they've either seen it before, they know what's going on, or they think they know what's going on. And they'll go ahead and try to do what they need to do. That's 13 years of UX research experience talking, but I don't have any specific GitLab research to point to.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Not specific research, but the 13 years of experience.
Perfect.
Anecdotes is literally exactly what I was looking for.
Cool.
And I think that basically addresses number 3 as well, that when I said non-fatal, again, it was just kind of brainstorming ways to explain it. Of a warning that doesn't block you would be non-fatal. So I think, yeah, that's clear. And I can read the last one since it was me.
Yeah.
How do they feel if their configuration is technically correct but causes warnings, which is kind of one of my concerns, that if we start giving warnings, something, but their pipeline runs fine and is actually correct and working properly. Deprecations to me are clear because you could give it a date. You could say it is working now, but it might fail later. An error is it's not going to work now. But then you have a warning where it's like, hey, you're using this keyword. You should probably use this other keyword, or you should use this other keyword, but you're thinking, but actually it's working fine. So why are you warning me about it? So that's kind of the gray area that has me a bit confused.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, I read it and from a research perspective, we never ask about how you feel. Just don't do that.
This was for the meeting, not for the research.
Marcel, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, so I think what I tried to reword it to understand what you were getting at with your initial question. So I think I got it right. Like, what happens when your configuration is technically correct, but you get a warning or warnings about what you're trying to do, like whatever that is. So
that's right.
I also put a comment, like, I think this is also better suited for an interview because you want to have that discussion with them. Have you ever seen anything like this in another system? What do you do? What would you do if you saw this in your GitLab interface and your setup is technically correct? You set it up how you want to set it up, but you're still getting a warning. What do you do? What would you do? Would you want to turn them off? Those kinds of questions, and you can't really get that kind of interaction with the survey, unfortunately. If we were just asking some simple questions about, like, what do you think this means, or something like that, then we could do that in an asynchronous survey. But this sounds like we really want to understand their way of thinking and their schema behind what they're projecting onto these warnings and these error messages. And I think that's going to be a conversation. It's not a long one, which is why I suggest that maybe Vithika with the Jenkins wrapper, maybe that research, we could pair a small conversation around these error messages with those participants too. So like just kind of pair it with the same recruiting effort to have a conversation around this with people.
Hey, so we are at about time. I put a time marker in our agenda so that we remember to come back to the stuff that at the next session. Sorry, Marcel, we're not getting to your last question. And then my items down there, we can pick up at the next one. It's not urgent. Feel free to, if anyone has answers to Marcel's question there, to answer it async in the agenda. And if not, we'll come back to that discussion. Marcel, if you can't make it to the next session, you can always come back and listen to the recording. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we'll end on time so I can run to another meeting with an external user that wants to interview us about Merge Train. So, okay, I think that's it. I'll stop the recording and thank you everyone for joining today. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Bye.